Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to our service this evening. I'm so happy to see everybody. We are going to begin our service on page 138. Please join with me in singing Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi. Shamur v'zachor v'diburecha Yishiyanu elam yuchad Adonai echad Shemo echad Hashem tiferet tzadikim Lecha Dodi Shalom
Shabbat Shalom. What a wonderful, lively, even mystical song to begin with. Fantastic, especially for this time of year. It is absolutely my pleasure and honor to be here with all of you to pray this evening. Thank you for joining us in prayer. A couple of announcements before our service begins. If you have a cell phone or any other devices that make noise, this is the perfect time to make sure that it's switched off or at the very least set to silence. If there is any reason that you need to step out of the sanctuary this evening, please remember that everything that is said in here can also be heard from the Schimber Grand Foyer where you came in. A couple of times during the service, we will ask the congregation to rise. If it is difficult for you to physically rise, you may rise in your heart while remaining seated in your chair according to the Talmud. Finally, it is a special honor to be joined on the pulpit this evening, of course, as always, by Cantor Canizaro. Rabbi Simon is not here this evening. He is in Brandon leading another type of Shabbat service. One of the great things about having three clergy is we can do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we are also joined by Maria Lauda, who helps us out on piano, bringing beautiful music to the service. Jill Newman is our board representative. Thank you very much for being here this evening. And over on this side, I'm very pleased to be joined by Adley Zamor in honor of her becoming bat mitzvah this Shabbat, which she will celebrate by leading us in prayer tomorrow afternoon. Mazel tov to her and her whole family. With that in mind, I would like to welcome Adley as well as Allison, Robert, and Lila to help lead us in the candles and Kiddush prayer. over on this side of the bema. You may follow along on page 121 and following.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless us, bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chalik ner shel Shabbat.
Read the English.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of the Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. And we will continue with our Kiddush on page 123.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who finding favor with us, sanctified us with mitzvot. In love and favor, you made the holy Shabbat our heritage as a reminder of the work of creation. As first among our sacred days, it recalls the exodus from Egypt. You choose us and set us apart from the peoples. In love and favor, you have given us your holy Shabbat as an inheritance. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, b'rei peri hagafen.
Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Just a little sip. It's really sweet, that's all. It tastes funny, but it's just sweet. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron ma'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. I'm reading on page 124. We enter this sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we in our turn come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Page 144.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, v'yimeru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam u'lamei amaya, yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar b'tromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh, v'yithalal shemei d'kurisha. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, damiron be'ama, v'imeru, amen. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
We rise as we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed, Le'olam Va'ed. La 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la.
I'm reading at the top of page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152 and 3.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Le'olam, Le'olam Vaed.
We continue with the Via Hafta. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read responsively in the middle of page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, that there is one God in heaven and on earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדור בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדור בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך רחמנך, בוקע יום לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Torah te'ilot, osei pele, Torah te'ilot, osei pele, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162. We read together in the middle of the page. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We continue now with the tefillah beginning on page 164 and continuing on even-numbered pages through 168. It is my honor to welcome up Adli Zamor to help lead us in these prayers as I ask the congregation to please rise. Come right on up here.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Masday avot bimot, umevi gula livne v'nehem, leman shemo be'ahava, melech chazer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia, morid hatah, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umido melach melech mimir umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah l'chachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shimecha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelujah selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. Page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim le'olam. נשים לעולם.
We pause for a moment in this time of our prayer, saving this page to return to in a moment. We turn forward to page 371 to say the words of Mishaberach, a prayer of healing. We ask that God be with all of those who are in need of healing. We ask God to bring strength to their families who support them in their time of healing. We ask God to watch over all of those who are touched by violence or hatred in this nation or around the world. We ask God to watch over and protect all of those in need of God's protection. We ask God to also watch over members of our armed services, whether they are serving here or around the world, and their families who miss them when they are away. Again, the words of Mishaberach may be found on page 371.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor Abracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
May healing come swiftly to all those who are in need of healing as we say together, Amen. We continue now in silent prayer. You may use the words on these pages or the words written upon your own heart as a guide.
יהיו לרצון אמרפי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי Adonai tzuri vegoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי וגואלי, אדוני צורי וגואלי.
Rabbi Akiva lived probably one of the most amazing lives in history. He grew up as a shepherd in the 1st and 2nd century under the oppressive Roman rule of Judea. And he was so poor and isolated that he never learned how to read. He married the daughter of his wealthy boss, who gave up her inheritance to be with him. The story of his wife Rachel is an amazing story in its own right. I wish we had time for both. Well, Rabbi Akiva, at the age of 40, as his son was starting kindergarten, decided that he would also learn how to read, starting with the basics of the Aleph Bet and progressing little by little until, after decades of study, he ended up becoming perhaps the greatest scholar of Judaism ever to live. It's said that even Moses was foretold of Akiva's wisdom and was in awe of his insight. Akiva accumulated 24,000 students who followed his teachings, and he achieved incredible wealth and status. His students followed his teachings, shall we say, religiously. That is, until the period of the Omer, that period between Passover and Shavuot. We are, in fact, in that very time of our festival calendar right now. It consists of a week of weeks, which is to say 7 weeks, or 49 days, during which we count each day and each week, and we reflect on a different guiding value each week. Those of you studying Musar with me on Saturdays should recognize this formula. So, what happened to Akiva's students during this time of the year, in the particular year which is unknown, sometime during the 2nd century? It's connected with why this period is now considered a time of partial mourning and a time of self-reflection. Because at that time, all of Akiva's 24,000 students were killed by a plague, in what the Talmud describes as a bad death. And the reason this plague occurred, according to the Talmud, mipnei shelo nahagu kavod ze lezeh, because they did not treat one another with honor. It's an enigmatic phrase. 5 of Akiva's students who were not killed eventually went on to become great leaders of academies and establish Judaism that we know today. We would not have the Mishnah or the Talmud, Jewish mysticism or scholarship, without the groundwork that Rabbi Akiva established. It's said by some that the plague and the enigmatic language surrounding it, it's said by some that the plague lifted on the 33rd day of the Omer, also called Lag BaOmer, which was earlier this week, and it marks a break or a cessation of the mourning period. But what was this awful plague? There is a clue in the enigmatic language and in the life of Rabbi Akiva. Akiva was a devout supporter of Bar Kokhba, the leader of a fervent armed rebellion against the oppressive Roman leaders. Hadrian, the Roman emperor, banned certain Jewish religious leaders, customs, and teachings, and punished any violators swiftly and ruthlessly. Some historians have suggested that the Talmudic plague was really a code for a massive and tragic defeat of the followers of the Bar Kokhba revolt. In answer to the defeat, the Romans only increased the oppression of the people of Judea, razing Jerusalem and replacing it with a Roman city named Aelia Capitolina, which Jews were largely forbidden from entering. They renamed Judea Syria Palestina, a name chosen to humiliate the remaining Jews by naming the land after their biblical rivals, the Philistines. Think of the famous Goliath. Rabbi Akiva must have known the odds he was facing in backing a rebellion against the mighty Rome. Perhaps he thought that God was truly on their side and would guide them to a miraculous victory. Or perhaps he knew that the battle was worth fighting even without any assurance of victory. In the end, they killed Bar Kokhba, Rabbi Akiva, and his followers, but the Romans could not defeat Judaism. We are still here, whereas the Roman gods are relegated to museums. The lifetime of work that Akiva accomplished sustained Judaism in the face of a rapidly changing world, one in which sectarianism and outside oppression threatened our very existence. He did not win the battle, but he won the struggle. And today we can view his life with a sense of, albeit tragic, victory. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, a little bit before our current counting of the Omer, we heard about a struggle of a very different kind. It was Israel's first attempt to land a spacecraft safely on the moon, and it had failed. The Bereshit lunar launcher was built at an impossibly low cost with an impossibly small team in a country that looks impossible in the eyes every day without blinking. It sought to do the impossible by landing on the face of the moon, making it the first private venture and only the fourth country to do so. The launch was a celebrated success, and it went off without a hitch. The spacecraft entered orbit around the moon despite the incredible odds against it. In the end, a malfunction caused it to lose control as it approached the surface of the moon, and it crashed, leaving just a streak of pale dust in its wake. In Israel, there were no tears, however. The team who built the rocket celebrated the success and the incredible symbolic inspiration that it provided. Already, young Israelis are entering the sciences with enthusiasm and funding generated by this project. They will be the next generation of scientists who launch future missions. Bereshit 2 is already being planned. It's easy to look at impossible odds and want to give up. We all face struggles that seem insurmountable. Sometimes it's worth it to remember that some battles, whether it's the oppressive Romans landing on the moon or our day-to-day struggles, are worth fighting, even if we don't end up winning. And sometimes even our setbacks can pave the way for our greatest triumphs further down the line. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to welcome all of our members, newcomers, and guests to Congregation Sher Zedek. We look forward to visiting with you during the Oneg Shabbat. Representatives of the board and past temple presidents are identifiable by our gold nameplates. At Congregation Sher Zedek, we pride ourselves on offering a variety of programs. Upcoming events have been listed on the back of your Shabbat program. Thank you, Lynn and Miriam, for ushering this evening with me. And Mazel Tov to the Zamor family on Adley's Bat Mitzvah. Our clergy and staff are eager to greet visitors who are looking to learn more about our congregation. So immediately following services, clergy and staff will move into the Oneg Shabbat and stand at the membership table. And we would love for any visitors to stop by. We encourage congregants to introduce yourselves to guests that you see at the table. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Before we continue with the Aleinu, this is the time of the service that we traditionally count the Omer. You may follow along with me on page 570. Hineni muchan umezuman lekayam mitzvat aseh shel sefirat haomer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. I hope you'll join with me in the blessing, which begins in a familiar way and ends in Al Sefirat HaOmer. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Al Sefirat HaOmer. Hayom 35 Yom Shahem Hamesh Shavuot LaOmer. Today is the 35th day, which is 5 weeks of the Omer. We continue now with the Aleinu at the bottom of page 586, continuing on 591, and I ask the congregation to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כחומם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. I'm reading on page 592. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. At this time, we remember those in our community who have recently been laid to rest, including Eugene Wallens, Frida Waterman, Nancy Snyder, Alvin Al Hamaroff, Florence Mandel, and Beverly Flaum. We also remember those whose yahrzeits occur at this time, including Asa Adler, Frida Vera Adlin, Melvin Ambler, Faye Ball, Maury Boas, Celia G. Coney, Frank Deitch, Morris Edelson, Herman Feit, Hannah Fenster, Gerald Fields, Rose Flom, Louis Sidney Frank, Helene Friedman, Donald Geegan, Sidney Geiger, Stephen Arthur Geckler, Herman Goldberger, Maurice Golden, Blossom Goldman, Michelle Hirschhorn, William Hurwitz, Walter Kessler, Ruth Kleinman, Howard Kramer, Jane Liebegot, Ray Kosher-Leff, Saul Leisner, Maurice Levine, Stephen A. Marks, Kate Cohn Moore, Max Moore, Gertrude Older, Abe Predikin, Jules Rash, Louis J. Reisman, Edith Brickman Rose, David Rosenblum, Sylvia Rosenblum, Robert Rubin, Jack Rubin, Jay Rudolph, Joseph L. Sachs, Helen Sanders, Philip Seidenberg, Leo Shaw, Charles Silvers, Alan Steele, Bernard Stern, Herbert Strauss, Rabbi Frank Sondheim, David Schwartzman, Harry Wallens, William Weichselbaum, Frida Zelanko Weitzenkorn, Melvin Winograd, Paul Winters, Abraham Wolfson, Stanley Zeff, Helen Zalesnik, and Philip Zellman. Along with these names, we add all of those who, though unnamed, are always in our hearts as we take together in our hearts all of those whose memory is with us as we turn to page 598 and rise for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divara chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imeru, Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam ulalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudisha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalama Rabbah min Shemaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. At this time, we continue with our closing song, Adon Olam, which you may find on page 625.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa V'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hove Ve'hu Yiyeh V'tifara Ve'hu Yiyeh V'tifara.
Adonai oz le'amo iten, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God give strength to our people and bless our people with peace. At this time, I'd like to welcome up all of those in the congregation who are 18 years of age or younger to help lead us in the motzi. And as they come up, go ahead and put your hand directly. Yeah, everybody, 18 years of age or younger.
All right, here we go.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon, and as Adley, thank you for leading, and all of our other young folks tear off a piece of challah to share with one another. I share God's blessing with you. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God bless our people with peace and prosperity. May all of the struggles we seek to overcome be able to bring us peace this day. Amen. I saw some of those camping sticks sticking in. I love that. Yeah, we're almost there.
Are you here tomorrow? Yes. It's not, oh, that's good. I'm thinking of a different week. Oster. That's what I want to do.